I thought I knew what my top 10 was. I have no idea anymore.
Well, that was a movie.
Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, and today I'm giving my first thoughts on American Fiction, which stars Jeffrey Wright as a black author who jokingly writes a satire of how he feels that black writing is forced to be in current American culture. Unfortunately for him, that joke ends up being his most lucrative deal, and now he has to decide what to do with that newfound fame and money and everything that comes with it. It's also by first-time writer-director Cord Jefferson. He's been a long-time producer in Hollywood. He helped produce the Watchmen TV show. He's also written for TV shows. This is just his first film that he has written, and I thought that there was just a mastery being shown. Amazing writing and directing. There was, if I had to nitpick, some of the exposition in the writing was rough early on, but the writing, between the dialogues between characters was so well done, and a lot of that is helped by fantastic acting. I'll look up the cast real quick, but it's not just that. It's just the writing in general is very clever. The directing is seamless. I think good directing generally goes unnoticed because you're not drawing attention to yourself. You're just making a story that you feel you're drawn into, and you kind of forget you're watching a movie, and that's how I felt for the majority of this. There's a couple of clever things that I'll talk about later in spoilers, but for the most part, the directing just going unnoticed is a really good thing. So the cast includes Jeffrey Wright, like I said, Tracy Ellis Ross, John Ortiz, Erica Alexander, Leslie Ugams, I don't know how to say her name. Ugams, I'm sorry. Adam Brody, Keith David has a cameo, Issa Rae, Sterling K. Brown, who was maybe the best actor in this movie. He was phenomenal, and Maya Lucretia Taylor. I do say Sterling K. Brown was phenomenal, but I mean, Jeffrey Wright in the lead was phenomenal. The whole cast was really good, though. Everybody was phenomenal. I thought everybody was, worthy of at least a little bit of recognition. I know Jeffrey Wright was nominated for a Golden Globe, will probably also be nominated for an Oscar, but I mean, the whole cast was really, really phenomenal, and this movie was fantastic. I will admit, the ending, to me, I'm not completely sold on. I loved it up until that point. Up until that point, I was like, holy shit, I think this is the best movie of the year. Like I said in the intro, I had a top 10. I was pretty certain what it was going to be, and then this movie was throwing me for a loop where I was like, hold on, I may need to rethink some things. With the ending, I don't think it's probably number one, but I mean, it may be after I think about the ending some more. And also, regardless, it's a phenomenal movie, and some people will probably actually love the ending and think it makes the movie because it's a very bold choice from a writing perspective. Some people, it will make the movie, and some people will break the movie. But up until that point, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's heartfelt, it's extremely emotional at times, it's also hilarious, it's one of the funniest movies of the year, and it's just, I mean, it's mostly a drama. I guess you could call it a comedy drama or a dramedy or whatever, but it thrives on the characters and the character development and their interactions and what they're going through and what they're thinking and how they're processing things. So if this movie wasn't funny at all, it would still be phenomenal, but it's so funny that it's like a comedy, and maybe it is a comedy, I don't know how you classify it exactly, but it's, like I said, maybe the funniest movie of the year, and it doesn't even need it to be great. That's what I'm trying to say, is that it's so funny, and the comedy is just a plus, because it's not the focus of this movie. The comedy is just a happy byproduct of fantastic writing. So I can't recommend this movie enough. I thought that the points were made expertly and were also left up to some interpretation. There's a phenomenal moment in there. If you don't know what it is, it's a commentary on, like I said, black culture in Hollywood, as well as, just writing in general, just literature and how they are perceived in culture and how they are kind of forced to behave in culture. And this movie isn't black and white with it, no pun intended. There are people on both sides that have differing points of view, and the main character is kind of forced to reconcile, maybe I'm not completely correct in how I view this. There's people on the other side that I kind of agree with and understand their perspective. It doesn't give you a straight answer, and I love when movies do that, because it's not just trying to preach at you, it's trying to make you think, and this movie does make you think. I think also within its commentary, it is very on the nose at times, but in a hilarious way. There is a point in this movie where there are 5 characters, 2 black authors and 3 white authors. authors, and they're debating about whether or not this one book is good, because they're all put on this panel to judge a book. And the two black authors say that it's, you know, it's pandering and it's bad, it's just horribly written, we hate it. And the three white authors are like, no, it's good, it's important, this is something that needs to be heard. And then they're like, well, I don't agree. And they're like, well, it's 3-2, so you get outvoted. And then the other white girl is like, yeah, it's just really important for us to listen to black voices right now, so shut up, black people, so the white people can talk about how important it is to listen to black people. And I love that commentary. This movie's so smart and so well written. I'm in love with this movie. It was phenomenal. It may still be the best movie of the year. I've got a week to decide, and I'm not sure yet, because like I said, that ending was just a little bit iffy to me, but maybe I'll grow to love it. Like I said, it's a choice that I think a lot of people will actually make them like the movie more. For me, I'm not completely sold on it, but like I said, this is a first thoughts. First thoughts are kind of to just gut reaction, and so when there are tricky choices, when there are choices that are a little bit harder to deal with, it makes first thoughts a little bit harder, because it's like, I don't know how to handle that thought yet. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily bad, because challenging concepts are often very good. It's just on a first thought, you don't know how to handle it, you don't know how to deal with it. But overall, regardless of if this is the best movie of the year or not, it's close, and that's a great thing. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from this movie. At worst, this movie's in my top 5 of the year. This movie is fantastic. I really love the imagery. I really loved, like I said, the characters feel so real and so genuine and multi-layered. It's not like, you know, characters are stereotypes. Even when there's a couple characters that are stereotypes, they're revealed to have multiple layers. They're not just one-dimensional. They are real feeling people, and not even just the main characters. I'm talking everybody, every situation that you can come into. It feels so authentic, and I loved that about this movie. This movie wasn't really on my radar until a couple of weeks ago. It snuck up on me. The reason I heard about it was because I forget which happened first. I saw some movie in like a indie art house theater, and I saw the trailer for it for the first time, and around the same time I heard Jeffrey Wright was nominated for the Golden Globe. And so I was just like, wait, hold on, what is this? I have no idea what this is. It snuck up on me, and I'm so glad I had to drive out to New York to see this. This was not an easy trip for me to make, and I was considering waiting until the next year to go and see it, but I'm like, no, I want to see it now. I'm curious. The trailer made it look great. I'm like, this has a chance to make the top 10, and I'm glad I did. This was a great day. You know, it feels like an adventure driving 3 hours to go see a movie and it be this good. Granted, now I have to drive back 3 hours, but like, it's a much more fun drive home after seeing a good movie than seeing a bad movie. If I had driven this far to see a bad movie, I'm like, man, what a waste of time. But no, it certainly wasn't. Like I said, fantastic. Really can't recommend it enough. I know it's not got a full wide release yet, so you may have to wait a week or two to see it. I'm not sure when it will be out near you, but once it does, please go see it. This movie was a lot of fun, and like I said, it makes you think too. Comedy, drama, everything. It's part tragedy, it's part romance, it's got everything but horror. There's no real horror to it, but no, definitely worth a watch. So that's what I think without getting to spoilers. I'm gonna get into spoilers now though, so if you don't want anything spoiled, please wait for it and go watch it at your earliest convenience, and then come back and we can talk about it then. But if you're new here, please remember to subscribe. Also, don't forget to like, share. Thanks guys, bye. Yeah, so the ending kind of throws me off a little bit, because for my taste, it became a little too meta. The author, clearly, it's like, it becomes apparent right before they reveal it that like this movie is being written by him as well. And so now he is talking to the director about how we're supposed to end this movie, and he gives 3 different options. And then you get the real ending, which I did enjoy to a point, because so like you find out, oh, he's actually in Hollywood, he's no longer giving this speech at this other place, and I'll get back to that part. And so as he's walking out, they have like a picture of a plantation, and then they move it away to reveal he's in Hollywood. It's a fun commentary. It's like, you see that these black people are forced to kind of follow certain constructs to be successful, and it's like, yeah, we're still kind of in this plantation like stage where it's like, as long as you follow the rules, you're fine. I mean, granted, even if you follow the rules on a plantation, you might end up dead, but bad analogy on my part. But my point is, like, it's still, you're being forced, these black people are being forced into situations, and it's not a win. Like, there's a debate early on in the movie, which is a phenomenal debate, by the way, between him and the other author, who he kind of hates her work because he feels like it's what he was parroting in his book. And she's like, I don't agree. I think that what I'm doing is appealing to the masses and what they want and giving them what they want. There's just nothing wrong with that. And he's very much on the other side. So then by the end of the movie, he's now kind of doing what she was doing. And he's like feeling guilty about it, but he's still going along with it. And he's not sure if it's the right thing or not. It's kind of very open-ended. And it feels like a loss to me. Like, it feels like we could have had a victory here where he could have either stood his ground or found a happy medium or whatever. But at the end of the day, it feels like he lost. It feels like he didn't stick to his, his guns. It feels like he kind of gave in, but at the same time, he also admitted that he's not right about everything, which is a good thing. It's good character development. You also see, meanwhile, that he has kind of rekindled his relationship with his brother, which goes a long way with admitting he's wrong about things. So you enjoy that for him, but it's like there's a lot going on there where you're like, I don't know if I agree with his choices, and I'm kind of disappointed for him. Like, I wish he had, I don't know if he needed to learn more, or if, like, maybe, I don't know. It's just a little bit disappointing where you see him end up at the end of this movie. And, it's very open-ended, so things could go in a million different directions, and that's one of the points that they make when talking about the different endings that they're trying to come up with for this movie. But yeah, for me, the humor of that moment didn't quite land as well as the rest of the movie. Like I said, it was a little too meta, and then the ending just wasn't satisfying to me. And I get it, that's kind of the point. Like I said, it's open-ended, but you can have an open-ended ending that is satisfying. Like the first ending that they talk about is he goes up to accept this award, revealing, in theory, that he is this pseudonym author, and then it would cut to black, and then the movie would end. And then it cuts to the director saying, well, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, that would have been the best ending. And sure, they go over this other, like, rom-com style ending, and then they go through this ending, like the kind of what they were parroting, where the FBI breaks in and shoots him and stuff. And, like, all three of those endings, in a way, are better than the ending we got. And maybe not, but definitely the ending where it just smash cut to black was my favorite ending, and that wasn't the ending we got because we were told we're not allowed to get that ending, and that's frustrating. But yeah, so it is possible to have an open-ended ending that is more satisfying than the one we got, because that ending would have been, I think, perfect, and the ending we got was okay. It could have been a lot worse, as revealed by, like, the FBI ending would have been kind of lame, and the rom-com ending wouldn't have felt earned, so I get that. But the ending we did get just, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite. Like I said, maybe the more I think about it, the more I'll like it. But for me, and also, I mean, it's kind of the point of, like, he was forced into making a different ending that he didn't want to do. So maybe that's commentary about the fact that the writer of this movie was too. I don't know. I don't know how true that is to what actually happened. But anyway, getting back to the good stuff, because it really is the ending, and I've already described my issue with it. I have no issue with the rest of the movie other than, like I said, a little bit of exposition that's a little bit tell, don't show, and it's like, it was a little frustrating, but it's like, hey, really nitpicking at that point, because it's only a tiny bit. Most of the movie is told brilliantly, and then that ending I have a legitimate gripe with. But other than that, the movie's phenomenal. Going back to the conversations that they were having that I was talking about, where it's like they're fighting over this book, and it's great commentary through showing how stupid some of these characters are. I really enjoyed how we have, like, the first actual, like, conversation about this, because up until this point we're just kind of, Jeffrey Wright's opinion is right in everything he says, everything he does, you're just with him on it, and all these other characters are stupid. And it's not until he has a conversation with the other author where you're like, hold on, she's making good points, and I'm not sure who I agree with now. It seems like it's like a gray area somewhere in between, and I love that conversation took place, and how it ended was brilliant, because they're kind of at a standstill where they're like, neither one is changing the other one's mind, but they're both kind of just, like, tired of this argument, and they're just kind of both confused. And then the one white judge comes in and goes, okay, so what are we talking about? And it was, to me, such a great example. I don't know literally that this is what they were going for, but this is what I took from it. Was it's like kind of the whole, like, anytime there is a race discussion or a discussion about black people and culture and how to handle different things, it's like there's going to be disagreements among black people. Not all black people all think the same way and all agree on the same things. Clearly, that's racist to think that. And so there's going to be debates and there's going to be a discussion because it's not clear who's right in every situation. But then you're having this discussion between these two parties, and then this uninvolved, clueless party, this white person comes in who has no idea what's going on, and it's just like, okay, cool, what are we talking about? I've got my little lunch, I'm ready to participate in this conversation. And it's like, you do not belong in this conversation. You do not know what's going on. And so often, I mean, I've fallen for this, where it's like you get into a preacher mindset where you've got like a savior complex sometimes, and it's like, okay, I know what's going on here, let me fix a thing. And it's like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. You can't fix this. The people involved in it don't know how to fix it, let alone somebody who's not involved at all. So yeah, a lot of this movie is that style of comedy commentary. Some stuff is handled a lot more seriously, especially the family stuff. The family stuff is all pretty much serious. I don't remember too much comedy in how that stuff is all handled, but it's all equally powerful. It's all brilliant. There was so many scenes, like I said, brought tears to your eyes. You're crying one second, you're laughing out loud the next. Like I said, Sterling K. Brown was phenomenal in this movie, and his character, he's gay, and he, by the way, doesn't look anything like Jeffrey Wright. They're supposed to be brothers. Don't look related at all, but you kind of just have to forgive that and move on. And but his character arc is phenomenal too. I love that relationship between the two brothers. It really reminded me of myself and one of my brothers in that relationship, where it's like you've got an older brother who, you know, is making a lot more right choices, and so kind of thinks he's right about everything. And then you've got a younger brother who feels kind of like a fuck up, but then they both have value in their own ways, and they can both learn from each other. And I loved that. I loved that writing. That whole story arc with the family, everything to do with the family, I was just so invested in and cared so much about. And like I said, you kind of forget you're watching a movie. It just feels so real. You feel so invested in everything that's happening. Everybody's got so many dimensions to them. At no point did any character feel fake at all. Like, I believe these people were real. I really enjoyed being just dropped into their life for a couple of hours. It was phenomenal. Every character, like Issa Rae's character, like she's the other author, and for the longest time you are kind of programmed by Jeffrey Wright's character to hate this character and think she's a sellout or a moron or something, and then you hear her talk about it and you're like, okay, I see her perspective. I understand what she's doing. Whether or not you agree with it, you at least understand where she's coming from and at least kind of agree with it. Like all of these characters, you kind of agree and kind of disagree with everybody. And yeah, I really like that. And like I said, I know there wasn't closure at the end of this movie, and there didn't have to be. I don't know. I'm just repeating myself at this point. The ending is interesting. I just need to sit on it for a while. Regardless of my opinion, because my opinion is just one person's opinion, that ending will make a lot of people dislike the movie and be like, what a disappointing ending. I think it will also make an equal amount of people say, what a great ending. That really wrapped up everything and really explained everything really well. And I'm somewhere in the middle going, I don't know how I felt about it. I wish it could have been something else, but I get it and I appreciate it at the same time. So I don't know. If you've seen it, let me know, because I'm curious to hear what other people's opinions are on that ending. Like I said, liked it, didn't love it. I thought it could have been better, but I also think it could have been a lot worse. So that's what I think. Like I said, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought if you've seen it. Also, don't forget to like, share. If you're new here, subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.